Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
1, 2. Check me out right here, yo.
Yo, the sun don't shine forever, but as long as it's...
Welcome to the Bob Sullivan Show here on latenightsportsradio.com. I am joined here by Mark Rohde of 670 The Score in Chicago. Mark, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Bob. How are you? It's a nice wrap up to the week here. Sunday night, got a little NBA All-Star game on right now, but I am doing well. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. I don't, I'm not one to complain, but I'm going to complain. I coach high school baseball. I coach high school basketball. The high school basketball job, I have to work a janitorial job, quote unquote, to be able to coach it. So there's where I have to be in a building for the school district to be allowed to coach. Anywho, for this job, there's Apple TV in certain rooms. So while I'm supposed to be working, I'm watching either Hulu or Netflix on Apple TV. And I tried to download the TNT app onto Hulu or onto the Apple TV. There's no TNT app on Apple. White guy problems with nothing else to complain about or do. Where does this fall as one of the biggest non-complaints somebody should have during a workday?
Wait, does this mean that you are at your as you said, janitorial job right now, and you can't watch the NBA All-Star game? Is that what you're saying?
No, I wasn't able to watch All-Star Saturday night.
Oh, so you were working last night and you couldn't get to the NBA. Oh, okay. Actually, relatively speaking, I hate to make it worse for you, but you actually missed a pretty good one as far as those things go.
I agree. And I mean, I've since watched it. I watched it today at work because I was able to watch it on the NBA TV app on Apple TV. So I was able to watch it today I was able to watch the events, but I didn't get to watch it in real time, which every year since I was born, I've pretty much set aside NBA Saturday night to watch those events. So this was like kind of a weird thing for me to complain about, but that's my complaint. And I mean, obviously the NBA probably has the best events leading up to the All-Star game, but where would you rank the actual All-Star game itself?
It's I still think that probably baseball allows itself to be the best one in terms of the competition, since it's so individual, and there's like in football, obviously you can't play a real game because nobody wants to get hurt. In basketball, nobody really wants to play defense, but in baseball, you have to play defense. I mean, you look ridiculous if you just let a ball go under your leg. No pitcher on the mound wants to get pantsed by a batter, whether it's batting practice in spring training or whether it's an all-star game. So I think that baseball, just by its nature, allows itself to be the best all-star game. I don't think it's because Major League Baseball is brilliant and they do it the best. By no means is that the case. It's just that the actual sport lends itself to legitimacy when it comes to having an illegitimate game, even though it does mean something in baseball, whereas in the other sports it doesn't mean anything. I actually did like the NHL All-Star game this year. I liked the 3-on-3 thing. I think that works. It got a little convoluted having like 4 or 5 games or however they did it. I thought that was a little bit convoluted. But in terms of the games, I think baseball is still the best. Basketball is still fun because really it's turning into a slam dunk 3-point shooting contest when you actually watch an all-star game. And this year is particularly ridiculous. Both teams were in the 90s at that time, which is just hilarious. So they just gave up.
Yeah, it's funny. Like you see, like players like who actually play in kind of a team-oriented system. Like, I mean, just reading over Twitter, what's his name? Leonard from the Spurs is getting ripped for not knowing how to play in an All-Star game. It's like, are you kidding? Like, this guy is one of the better players in the NBA, and you're ripping him because he can't play in an All-Star game because he's used to playing in a team environment. And it's clear that, he's out of place here because he clearly, hasn't. But, you look at other, successful teams with the Spurs, like Duncan was never really comfortable in the All-Star setting. The one Spur that I will say that played under Popovich that was comfortable was David Robinson. He was always comfortable in this setting. But everybody else is kind of in the team-oriented type of thing.
Well, now that I think about it, really, you pretty much have to be a guard to be comfortable playing in an All-Star game, right?
Yeah. Because
if you're just unless you're a dunking big man, and there have been some of those, obviously, like Shaquille O'Neal, but, if you're a guy who is posting up down low, if your game, like, think about Pau Gasol, like, does he seem like an all-star game type of player? He's a legitimate all-star, even though he was an alternate this year. But, you got to have a little flash to your game. Kawhi Leonard, I didn't see the tweets, and I haven't seen enough of this game to know what Kawhi Leonard has done or not done to lend himself in favor of his teammates or fans of being an all-star. But, Kawhi Leonard, who is known as being a defensive force. How about Joakim Noah back when he was an all-star? What does he offer? And everybody going to stand up and cheer his 12 rebounds and 3 or 4 block shots? It's hard, It's by sometimes for some of these guys, you are an all-star by definition, but in actually performing in the exhibition, which it is an exhibition performance, some guys are not suited to do so.
It's funny. When I was younger, and this would have been when I was like 7 or 8, between 7 and 8 to when I was like 12 or 13, we had a Tandy computer at my house in the 90s. And I used to play this game. It was Celtics versus Lakers. It was based in 1989 on this computer, and they had the all-star teams, and they had like Barkley and Olajuwon with, goggles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You play like an all-star game on, NBA the show or NBA 2K, you're going to put up 200 points, combined with those two teams, or, in a 5-minute game. But you play back in those days, the system had it figured out so that it would only be like a 101 to 98 situation where it was realistic to that time frame. And sadly, 2K, the video games have caught up to reality. So now you're getting video game scores for the All-Star games like you were back in those days. It's funny to me.
Yeah, well, it's pretty funny because, if the NBA had its way, every team would be the Golden State Warriors or live like a lot of Western Conference teams live, or live like the Bulls would like to be living right now. And that is a high-scoring, moderate defense type of team. So, defense is still not sexy, and really in any sport, people still want to see points. They want to see home runs. They want to see goals, and every sport, I think, tries to do what it can do to be conducive to scoring, because fans like scoring.
Yeah. Well, with baseball, obviously the All-Star game is, it scored like it scores like a regular game. Do you think that is there a fix to, for baseball where the hitting can catch back up to the pitching?
The hitting can catch. Yeah, you know what? I think that everything kind of comes around and goes around. We obviously had the era of steroids, which obviously to some degree is still occurring. I think that, think about how the Cubs are built. The Cubs are built in terms of the way that they're growing their farm system anyway. They're built to hit. So if you use the Cubs as a young example of baseball and foreshadowing of what's to come, you can see teams catching up because teams will go copycat on what the Cubs are doing, being that it's been a successful model. But then obviously then you have the Mets model, which is quote unquote the old school draft pitchers and stuff like that. So I think it's an interesting tug of war right now because I personally I prefer that it's done to a little bit more of a natural degree and all the home runs going out of the park. That was fun to watch and everything, but it can be much more interesting when pitching is back in the game again, as it is here. But we'll just have to see in the next 4 or 5 years what happens in terms of how teams build. Will they stay with the theory that the Mets have, that you go with arms, or they go with the Theo Epstein theory, which is not that he doesn't want to get arms, but it's that he doesn't trust the health of arms and, paying the massive dollars for arms that inevitably seem to end up in Tommy John surgery these days.
If I was a GM or whatever, if I drafted a pitcher, which I haven't really read into the Theo Epstein theory, but I assume drafting pitchers is not on his list of things to do. It's to sign, some guys that can just get you over get to you to a certain point, and then the hitting does the rest. Is that inaccurate?
Yeah, I mean, you look at who he has drafted, and we've seen him draft Albert Almora. We saw Chris Bryant. We saw him draft Kyle Schwarber. Last year he drafted another outfielder or second baseman / outfielder in Ian Happ. So, and those are the first rounders. So it's not like they're not getting pitchers in other rounds and things like that, but the priority has been sluggers. And the guys who can hit the ball out of the park and then go for pitchers in the lower rounds, maybe affordable pitchers in free agency. The one big whopper obviously was the $155 million that they gave to John Lester. But other than that, I mean, he's been extremely reasonable. Right now, Jake Arrieta's still a relative bargain. John Lackey, they did spend some money on, but still, I mean, as a veteran pitcher, 36, 37 years old, that they're not breaking the bank for, and then they're 4 and 5 are Kyle Hendricks and Jason Hamill. Hamill getting some dough, but again, not crazy dough. He's getting that medium $1 million money, and Kyle Hendricks is still in his rookie deal. So, yeah, I mean, it's right there for you to see what Theo Epstein has done as far as building a team and what he has not done as far as building a team.
Yeah, when it's like my thing with these, going out and getting a pitcher or whatever. I think it was Jorge De La Rosa who got a big contract from the Rockies, but they did what I think a lot of teams were thinking. Okay, we're gonna have kind of a big, slugging kind of lineup with Tulo and Cargo. That we just need some kind of get past a few games type of pitcher, and De La Rosa, is not good, but he's kind of get me past. I feel like the pitching, you need like a 1 and 2, and then the rest kind of will take care of itself. But you can't spend too much money on, big name pitchers. Wasting a lot of your budget on pitching, which I feel like the Mets are going to get into some trouble, with Harvey decisions, Wheeler decision, decisions with their pitching staff. They're going to get into some trouble with that because I think they're going to make the wrong choice in who to spend money on and then what to spend money on bats for.
Yeah, I would say that most major league pitching staffs, there's going to be some pretty considerable money placed in the first 3 guys. And 4 and 5, I think that it's pretty tough to be consistently deep in those spots. Now, there are the exceptions. We keep going back and forth between the Mets and the Cubs on this, but Cubs are a classic 3-man top-heavy rotation, whereas the Mets can go 5 deep on you. It's hard to think of other teams. I mean, the Washington Nationals were supposed to be one of those teams last year that could go, Gio Gonzalez and Strasburg and the rest of that crew, that they could go 5 deep as far as their starting rotation is concerned. But I can't think of too many teams. Maybe the Dodgers last year, too many teams that even they ran into their own problems. But really, it's you get 3 guys who you could really depend on and then just kind of hope for the best when it comes to 4 and 5. So I think that's, with all the money that exists there, you can't go crazy with 4 and 5, or else you're starting to take a gamble on, ripping off the rest of your roster, which is important too, because the pitching is so good right now that you're going to have to, you best build that with some hitters too.
I think it was you when we on Johnny's show, when I brought up the idea of maybe the Cubs should bunt a little bit more, and I think I believe I was laughed at by both you and Johnny. And I don't want to point any fingers, but I do believe I was laughed at by you and Johnny if you were on the show.
Okay, I'm sure the tape is out there, so I was trying not to argue with you.
Okay, but my thing is, I think there's got to be a happy medium. Like, it's not like the Cubs are so, if you're, these NBA teams are so built on 3-point shooting, whether it be the Hawks or the, Golden State is a whole different animal because they actually have superstars on their team. But, like, you either got, going too far one way, I feel is too dangerous. That you got to still find a happy balance in, because the Cubs just weren't able to manufacture a run across the plate at certain points. I get the point of, okay, I want to play for a big inning, but there's a time where you got to play for at least a run in an inning when you got to concede for just a run. And I feel like that hurt them in the Mets series. If they can get to that point where they can, okay, we'll get just a run in this inning with the bottom of our lineup and not just focus on, let's get 14 runs in this inning, I think that's when they're going to actually, win the World Series. Do you agree with that mindset? Kind of the Royals mindset, I guess.
What's that?
Kind of like the Royals mindset, where they're going to play for what they can get.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, because it can be excruciating if you're a team that depends on power, and then for a 2-week period, your team is not hitting the ball out of the park, and that definitely will happen. And I will also say that for the first 2 months of the season, when it's very cold in the Midwest, and Wrigley Field is not a hitter's ballpark when it's below 50 degrees, you do have to figure out a way to score runs against the wind. If you remember last year, the Cubs in the first month or so of the season, they were stealing bases left and right. They had everybody going. Rizzo was going. The whole crew, everybody was get on base. They were stealing bases. So there was some manufacturing early in the year. And believe it or not, there was manufacturing at the end of the year too, specifically in Game 2 of the National League Division Series against the Cardinals, when they had the 2 suicide squeeze, or I should say the safety squeezes against the Cardinals, when Addison Russell and Dexter Fowler pushed runs across the plate, when the Cubs, were kind of slumping and trying to figure out ways to score runs. So that is something that Joe Madden has in his back pocket, and something that he does consider, and something that will be worked on. But let's face it, that team that's going to be put out there, those 9 guys, not exactly the most crafty bunch when it comes to bunting. You think, Addison Russell could obviously handle the bat, and Ben Zobrist, I imagine, will probably be pretty good about doing that too. But I don't know. I don't see a whole lot of sacrificing out of Chris Bryant and Kyle Schwarber and Anthony Rizzo and Jorge Soler. Hayward, I would imagine, probably is capable of doing it as well. But, the bottom line, the meat and potatoes is, yes, you have built a team that is generally dependent on power. And if the power goes bad for a prolonged amount of time, then you're probably just going to be in some trouble.
Looking in, what other big moves do you think are out there right now for Major League Baseball, for a team to make this offseason? And do you think, the Cubs are going to stand pat on what they have right now? Do you see them going after, any other small pieces right now?
I imagine there probably will be another move, something that we don't even know about, like something that's out there that has sort of gotten past everybody. I don't think any kind of big moves are left. In terms of of Major League Baseball at large, I mean, there's not a whole lot of names out there. One name that's still out there is Dexter Fowler. It'd be interesting to see where he lands. There's been some noise that he might land with the White Sox. Obviously you can't rule out the possibility that Fowler would end up back with the Cubs, but at this point I would strongly guess no, because if he was going to go back to the Cubs, they probably would have picked him up by now. So, so that's one to watch in terms of baseball at large. But as far as the Cubs specifically, I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some other relief pitcher names that you'll hear go the Cubs' way, and there's probably a name out there that we're all missing that will sign with the Cubs still. But, in terms of, like, actual impact players, guys that are going to, make an impact over 162 games, I think that you're pretty well set right now with the roster as it presently exists.
Is it weird to you that team, what do you think it is that makes a team wait so long on signing a guy like Dexter Fowler or trying to get a Giovanni Gallardo, or how long it took to get Chris Davis signed with the Orioles? Do you think it's them, the organization just taking a look at, okay, let's see how far the money can fall with this guy. Let's see how much they're willing to drop, how much, a guy has improved in the offseason and winter ball. What do you think it is that makes an organization wait so long and be like, if somebody goes out and signs him, so what? And I understand it with Chris Davis, but with, like Dexter Fowler, I don't understand why, a team kind of on the fringe that's one outfielder short wouldn't go sign him.
Well, yeah, or else this took forever to sign. Justin Upton took forever to find a place. So it made me curious, too. I mean, it's obviously a buyer's market. So, that means that the general managers can kind of set the value. I also wondered, too, like if there is a general devaluing that is occurring of Major League Baseball outfielders, just like running backs in football, where the value of that position is decreased, as in there are a lot of them available, as in many teams have outfielders in their systems that they're developing, and that oftentimes if a guy is a really good infielder, that guy is capable of playing outfield as well. So there's a lot of versatility, I think, that exists within farm systems, within Major League Baseball. So I just don't think that teams, I think there has been a devaluing of outfielders in Major League Baseball. I mean, obviously there's some very special cases like Mike Trout and Bryce Harper, MVPs, that, set the curve or change the curve and they're totally in their own category no matter what position they play. But I think for the most part, teams are willing to tinker and play. I mean, think about Kyle Schwarber was playing left field for the Cubs in the playoffs last year, right? So it's a classic case of just saying, okay, I don't want to, I mean, just to oversimplify, it's sort of like the theory of, well, anybody can play outfield. So, well, if he could play catcher, he can play left field. If he could play second base or shortstop, he could play right field. So I just think that the value of pure outfielders has gone down in terms of free agency because there are so many within teams' organizations and there's so much versatility or managers willing to experiment, as Joe Madden does with some of his players and turning them in from infielders and outfielders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't feel like, I mean, you can obviously, you can hide an outfielder. It's funny to me thinking like you can hide an outfielder in Major League Baseball. But, I mean, it's really been kind of proven with, Schwarber, at best, he's a first base. Like, he should be a first baseman. But, the Cubs are doing hey, we're going to take the best player available, and we're going to find, we'll make him fit into our system. And, I feel like, and then they take a lot of shortstops and, turn them into whatever they need. But I just find it funny. Like, it's funny to me in a sport, It's almost like center in the NBA. Like the outfield's become like the center in the NBA, where that's where you're going to hide a player. An extra, the fifth guy in the starting rotation, but you're going to hide him there. And I feel like that's kind of what the outfield has become. Like you said with football, however, football is, you got running backs. It's just a dime a dozen with what you have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that outfielder has gotten to the level of running back, but I just think it's along that sort of same course. And you're right. I mean, there is that quote unquote hiding of players in the outfield, and eventually, as we saw happen to Schwarber, and as you see happen to any outfielder that is not as adept out there, they will get exposed, and we'll see what they truly are. But I think that managers kind of just look away. They kind of just say, all right, that's the opportunity cost to get this bat in this National League lineup, whether it's Schwarber or anybody else, whatever. We keep using Schwarber as an example, but there's plenty of guys that are playing outfield that are average at best, but they're out there because they got a good stick at the plate. And, those guys, they're willing to accept some errors out there if they're going to, Alfonso Soriano in the outfield, obviously, and he was not very good out there, for a lot of the time. And, there's tons of examples of great hitting outfielders that were just very average as far as fielding their position. But it was one of those things that, maybe it turns into a late game replacement. Maybe that's the opportunity cost. But for the most part, they're willing to put up with it if they can get to 30 to 40 homers and 100 ribbies. They're cool with it.
All right, before I let you go, we're gonna have a little bit of fun.
Okay.
We're gonna do. Okay, do you remember the TV show Pros versus Joes?
Yeah, I do. I have to admit that I don't remember exactly how the show went, but I do remember it by title.
Okay, well, it was Petros Papadangis or whatever his name is from, whatever he's from now. But he's a big guy, and he was from USC, and he has a loud voice, so he gets a lot of, he gets a lot of airtime. But, okay, the way the show went was you would get, like, 3 athletes, and then I'm going to ask you, we're going to do Pros versus Mark Grody. And we're going to see, okay, what athlete you would want to go against in their certain sport, in their certain field of expertise. So I'm going to go, okay, for basketball, in a rebounding drill, who would you want to go up against?
In a rebounding drill, like as in?
Like, okay, like there's a cover on the rim, on the basket. Some guy shoots it up, and you have to go up against, a big guy from any era. And it's like, okay, who do you think you could be successful against?
Oh, okay. Who could I be successful against? Okay, for rebounding, I will say that I could have out-rebounded Steve Kerr.
Ooh. All right. Yeah, that's a fair one. Are you about 6'2" in that region?
I'm more like 6 feet. I don't know. I'm just sizing these guys up. There's not many guys that I could think of. He just didn't look like he was that strong out there. Like he was away from the basket.
I feel like I could go up. Yeah, I would go another Chicago Bull with you if I were in this situation. I'd go. What's his name? Judd Bushler.
Hey, wait a minute. Judd was like 6'5", though, man.
I understand. Hey, I'm like 6'5", but the guy.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize how tall you were. All right, okay.
I'm big. I'm like Bobby Jenks. If I was being called to in from the bullpen, they do the tall and the wide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Okay. Yeah. Because I think Judd played volleyball too, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. In baseball, if you had to tag up on a fly ball and run home, so somebody hits a fly ball to the outfield, who do you think you could beat a throw from the outfield in Major League Baseball from?
Adam Eaton.
Adam Eaton. Wow. That's a blast from the past type of name.
Yeah, no. The present day Adam Eaton, the White Sox, the light-armed center fielder for the White Sox.
Okay. All right, that's fair. I'd also like to see the sports science behind the throw from Adam Eaton and your run home.
although honestly, I am my downfall in sports was my actual 40-yard dash was just horrendous. So Adam Eaton may just throw me out. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Last one. Actually, two more.
Okay.
Okay, so in football, if you had to do whose offensive line would you want in front of you, and whose defensive line would you want going up against your offensive line if you had to do a run and jump over the line type of situation at the goal line?
A run? Okay, so you want my offensive line and my defensive line, huh?
Yeah. Not present or past day.
Okay. Well, I think that I would be letting a lot of people down if I didn't say for defense, I would take the 85 Bears.
You would want to jump up against them?
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting that we're not picking the best. We're picking teams that you can actually go
you
through.
Would be, I'm sorry, Mark, but you would be, eating, shakes for months if you had to go straight ahead against Mike Singletary.
I would not be talking to you right now.
No, you would not be talking to me if Mike Singletary was jumping straight ahead at you.
Oh, man. All right, that's right. Okay, so defense that I think that I could handle right now. Let's see here. Oh, well, it'd be too easy to pick the Bears, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Perhaps. What's that?
I would agree with you. It would be too easy to pick the Bears.
Yeah, obviously we can get through that. I suppose maybe like a Jacksonville defense. I think that I would try. I would pick something like that.
Okay, that's fair. And then last one. If soccer, hockey, lacrosse, what do you think you would have the best chance at scoring a one-on-one goal against one of those, like a goalie of any ilk, a professional goalie of any ilk in those three sports? What do you think you would have the best shot at scoring?
You say soccer, hockey, and lacrosse now?
Yeah. I
think that, I have to eliminate here. I would say I can't skate, so hockey would be a joke.
Okay.
I have very little lacrosse experience, so ding, 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 we got a winner. I do believe soccer.
Yeah, I bend it like Groats.
Yeah, I think I can show them. Those guys don't score out there. How hard could it be? I can get out there and take care of business.
Yeah, you have a one-on-one opportunity from midfield. You cross up a couple times, and then you just, fake left, go right. That's what I always do on FIFA. It can't be that difficult.
It's not that difficult, is it?
No. I think these soccer people over in Europe make it way harder than it actually is.
Yeah, they overcomplicate it. We just bring it down to a simple Bob and Mark sort of formula. I like it.
All righty, Mark. Well, before I let you go, do you want to tell everybody where we can find you on Twitter, the internets, all that good stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. You can tweet me at Mark Grote Sports. That's one word, Mark with a K. Grote is Grote, so at Mark Grote Sports. You can find me on Facebook as well, and you can hear me on the score at various times in the off season. I'll be doing pre and post game for the Cubs on 670 The Score during the season. So I appreciate you letting me get that out there, Bob.
Yeah, no problem, Mark. I'm happy to have you. When I come out to Chicago, we've got to hang out. To tear up Chicago a little bit here. And
absolutely. Hey, man, like I always say, when people come out, the first 3 rounds are on you. So I'll enjoy that. It'll be great.
Okay, yeah. First three rounds of pizza, deep dish pizza would be me for sure.
Absolutely, brother.
All righty. Well, when we come back, we'll be back with one of my former players, Jake Terakowski from Garden City Community College, catcher there. here on the Bob Sullivan Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Story goes and pisses him off.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Welcome back to the Bob Sullivan Show here on latenightsportsradio.com. I am joined here in hour number one, second half of hour number one, by the one, the only Jake Tirakowski of Garden City Community College Baseball in Garden City, Kansas. Jake, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well, Bob. Just coming off a big sweep of western Nebraska, so we're all pretty pumped down here.
Yeah, I've coached you, but I haven't coached you. You played at the high school I coach at, but you were varsity player. You were too good to play for the team that I coach. You were always too good for the team that I coach. But you guys are 7-0 at coming off a sweep of Western Nebraska. What is junior college, the translation from high school to junior college baseball been like for you?
Well, it's been a really big transition for me because I transferred into Roncalli, and then really game number one I played there, I was the starting catcher, so it taught me a lot coming here where I came in and I was just a bullpen catcher last year, had to work my way up the full ladder and got up to where I could play, but then they switched my position, so then I had to work through that whole process. But now I'm working to where I feel comfortable playing first base, where I've never really played before. And now just learning all the little footwork, little mechanics of that. So it's been real fun moving into that. And right now I'm just a defense replacement, a midweek starter, and then a situational pinch hitter. So it's really teaching me a lot to appreciate all the playing time I get compared to where high school, I was an everyday guy from the start.
Going from, high school where, 8 hours a day of school and then maybe football or, basketball or baseball, whatever it may be for whoever was playing it. What's the difference like when you go from an 8-hour school day to 2-hour practice to playing in JUCO where there's really no rules as far as practice time, and then you might be in class for 2 hours. It might be the exact opposite, 2 hours of class and then 8 hours of practice. What's the difference?
Yeah, that's how it is, where it's 2, maybe 3 hours of class per day, and then we have a good 4 or 5 hour practice at least on the daily, mixed in with a couple hour or two, maybe late at night or in the morning where it's getting extra work or a team lifting every 2-3 times a week. So that's also a big transition, especially my freshman year, where you had to get mentally focused into you're playing baseball as long as you're in class in high school. So that was probably one of the more difficult things that I had to go through my freshman year. But it's definitely taught me a lot, again, on how to appreciate baseball and how much baseball really is a huge mental grind.
Who was somebody that you've played with that gave you some good advice going into junior college baseball?
There's no one really I talked to more about playing junior college baseball than Tyler Allett, because he was the one kid he was really the only kid I really looked up to when I was a freshman, sophomore at Roncalli. And he just said it's a totally different ball game than high school, especially with Coof there at Roncalli, and you can attest to how things are ran with Coof. And it was going to be a very big transition, but he played with me when I was really young, my first 2 years of varsity baseball. And the one thing he really told me is it's going to suck, but you're going to reach your probably full potential, and it's going to be all worth it in the end. And I'm starting to see where all the memories and all the playing and everything is all worth all the grinding through the fall and waking up at 4:30 3 times a week in the fall and staying up till 10 o'clock lifting or doing extra work is all worth it in the end, and teaches you a lot about yourself and a lot about life lessons, and a lot about baseball.
Now, don't incriminate yourself, but when I was in college, I went to Mount Marty, in Yankton, South Dakota, and our rule was if you got caught drinking, you would have to run a 5 miles at 5 o'clock in the morning in 40 minutes, and I had to do that twice. You don't have to incriminate yourself, but what is the punishment? What are some punishments for you for mistakes at Garden City?
So we have one of our assistant coaches is an RA, and now he is one like the co-head guys here of residential life. So if he catches us with any type of alcohol on campus, he pulls us out of our room immediately, whenever clothes we're wearing, no matter the weather or no matter what's going on outside. You have to run just back and forth in our little courtyard we have in our dorms until he says stop. So I've been lucky enough where I never had to do that. I can't really admit if I ever should have done that, but I've seen it where a kid is out there running back and forth, barely being able to take about 5 steps at a time and falling over himself. And we got the pleasure of watching that happen for a good half hour. So it's always an eventful time when someone gets caught with alcohol on campus. Mm-hmm. And then we have a condition where if you get caught legally with any type of alcohol or any type of drugs or whatnot, it's a 5-game suspension at first, and then if you get caught a second time, it's a year suspension, or possibly just get kicked off the team.
Looking at going into junior college, is it, the lifestyle change? Is there a kind of a culture shock when you get there?
Oh, absolutely. Where you get there, college is, especially on all these Hollywood movies and whatnot, it's supposed to be this glorious, great time where you get sleep in, breakfast is great, the food's great, the cafeteria, and, all the people are nice and whatnot. But then you go to junior college, in little small town Kansas, and you have all the big, bad football and basketball players that think they run the school and everything. So that's always an event to deal with them if they think that their way is the right way and your way is the wrong way, I guess. And then cafeteria food is almost enough to live on, I guess, where on Sunday, especially Sunday nights, you're just hoping for little fried chicken nuggets instead of some casserole that's put together from leftovers that smells like it could just be from one of the cook's dogs that they brought to work.
They call it shepherd's pie, but it's not that. It is just crap in a casserole. There's been a couple of shepherd's pie nights even these last couple Sundays, and we see that on the board and we just leave right then. We don't even check in to even try to eat. Yeah, it's really it's depressing when when I was at Roncalli and St. Pius for grade school, and then at Mount Marty for college, it was like, it's like almost like when you're like, well, what are you going to do? It's almost like prison food. What are you going to do? Starve? And
yeah, I guess so.
But like at Mount Marty, I felt like the food was pretty good because they had a nun that made breakfast burritos and stuff like that. But I feel like the shepherd's pie, obviously that's all the crap from the week of that. They're just like, okay, let's just jam this all into a casserole, call it shepherd's pie, and throw some tomato sauce on it, and it'll be good. And
can't forget the salt and pepper, of course.
And what?
You can't forget the salt and pepper, of course.
The salt and pepper, yes, exactly. Yeah, if you forget the salt and pepper, you might as well not call it shepherd's pie. And you might as well not call it a massive coronary, really.
Yeah.
I mean, have you also tell the people who are listening right now or listening in the archives on iTunes, tell them about missing a meal at the school.
Oh, well, I mean, it's happened a couple times because we just have a ping pong table in our clubhouse. So we'll have a couple guys. We get out practice at, say, 5:30 mostly on most days. So we really have to, get our good work in, and it takes 5 hours. So we'll stay around and play ping pong for probably an hour, sometimes even 2 hours. So I'll miss a meal at the calf because our calf is only open from 5 to 6:30 on weekdays. So then we all kind of realize that we missed the cafeteria. It's kind of a good feeling because then we don't have to get the cafeteria, and we can actually get something that's edible and actually, taste all right, something like Wendy's or Subway. But then again, you already paid for it, so then you're out money.
Before you go any further, let me just preface this by saying how sad it is that you have to say something edible like Wendy's or Subway.
Yeah, that's how it is, yeah.
Not that I don't eat those on a regular basis, but it's not. I don't think people who don't go to college truly appreciate, or even for a year of college, truly appreciate how bad college food is.
Yeah, especially so. Our best thing here is on Friday nights. It's just Fried Friday, where they have the leftovers and they just fry them, and that's probably one of the best nights because you can't really mess up fried food because all it is just put in a fryer and call it food. And most of the nights they have chicken tenders, and so we'll just get a couple plates of chicken tenders and call it a dinner.
Mm-hmm. Well, looking at the season ahead, okay, so with the schedule ahead, you got Otero Junior College, Indian Hills Community College, New Mexico, trip to New Mexico. What in February baseball? What is that? February, March. You're in the kind of middle ground in Kansas where it's it could snow, it could be great weather, it could be okay. We're gonna have to go to Arizona to play a game here, but what is it like in this kind of middle ground territory, and what do you expect in the next few games over in February?
We get really lucky in Garden City actually because the 2 years I've been here. Last January, it snowed we had a good 6 inches of snow when we got back from winter break. So that was just about a week of snow removal with just indoor practices because we have a really nice indoor facility that we can get everything done with. And this year, all it was maybe 3 inches of snow that we got when the big snowstorm moved through the Midwest and, the huge foot of snow that came through all of Nebraska. We got maybe 3 inches. So that was just really bare minimum snow removal. And so days are 40, 45 degrees usually, and we call that an average day and put on a nice thick turtleneck and go outside and practice. And so all our home games so far have been about 50, 55 degrees, and that's just like we put on a 3/4 in our jersey and we call it great. Feels like it's a summer 75-degree day, really.
Do you, with the with this snow, and I assume shoveling is shoveling worse than actually having to run?
It depends on the day, I guess. The one thing that
when we used to have games at Roncalli where it'd be a game where there'd be 15 inches of rain, and then we'd have to scoop off the rain or the water with Dixie cups or a shop vac.
Well,
I assume that's better than. I assume that's way worse than shoveling, or because we never shoveled in your years. We never had to shovel the field in your years. We just never did. So what would you rate, running or shoveling, as far as the worst thing to do for?
Well, I mean, with a team of 40 guys in college, shoveling is actually made a lot easier because then we just split up in groups and split up jobs of shoveling certain parts, and we have guys on wheelbarrows, guys on the gator just moving snow around, and we let most of the snow just dry up naturally, so that way the grass gets nice and green, getting ready for spring ball to start. But junior college running, anything you can do to get out of that, you're going to take, whether that be shoveling, whether that be running around the whole town, maybe even the whole state of Kansas. you're going to try to get out of junior college running,
I have two pieces of advice for you. For getting out of running. I don't know if vomiting is one of the options, but if you vomit, do you guys get if you vomit, you're done running?
No, we don't get that. We don't get that luxury here.
Well, if you did get that, I would give you the advice of eat enough shepherd's pie in the cafeteria.
There you go. Yeah.
And then you get out of running. Or just eat as much as possible for the fried food, and then you get out of it. Or just store it like a bird, a mother bird, and just store it and then eat it before a big day of running so that you can get out of running.
Oh yeah. We've had many adventures with guys throwing up right after, even during running. I've even had one time that happened to me.
Is not being a freshman way better than being a freshman as far as watching these kids run?
Because being a sophomore, knowing that, at least half the guys around you really well because of the year going through everything together, mm-hmm. It makes everything, that much more fun, I guess you could say. I guess bearable is probably more the correct word. Where you just, you can do it because your freshman year, you're questioning if you even can do it, let alone if you can do it well and actually get better from it. So your sophomore year, you're really able to, put your nose in the ground and actually do it because you can.
What is the a few more questions before I let you get out of here, but what are the things like, in a junior college where it's, freshmen, sophomores, how difficult is it to build that team camaraderie over a year or a 2-year period versus a 4-year school?
Well, I think with a 4-year school, the younger guys kind of get lost in the shuffle where your older guys have their cliques, maybe the seniors may, be really close to some juniors, but then the sophomore, freshmen, you can't really say that the senior juniors will be that close with the sophomores and freshmen. But at junior college, with only having a freshman, sophomore, and a couple, redshirt sophomore guys, third-year guys, they all get really close because, you're right out high school, just starting the college experience, and then, your first, whatever it is, 5, 7 guys you're living with in a unit or apartment, you really, get really close to those guys and get really close to the guys in your class that you're coming with. So I think a junior college really even builds better team camaraderie, there you go, than a 4-year college because it's only 2 years removed from high school where there isn't, some 5th-year senior saying, I'm better than all you guys because you're just out of high school. It's everyone really between the ages of 18 and a couple 21-year-olds where everyone gets really close.
Last question. What's the toughest part of the second year of junior college?
Definitely the pressure you feel like you're under trying to get recruited onto the next level because all the recruiting is done in the spring, which is the second semester, the last semester of your sophomore year. So really, like at this point, I only have 1-2 schools that I know that I could apply to and go through all the formalities of recruiting to get onto the next level. But really, a lot of it's unknown where if a guy at all on the team gets a call, it's like, I got a call last night. Oh, from where? It's a whole big deal, a whole big event when a guy gets a call this early in the season. So the most stressful part is probably where you have no idea where your next semester of school is going to be or really if baseball is an option at that point.
Mm-hmm. Last thing, where can we find you on Twitter, your next few games, and what to expect from Jake Terakowski here this year?
Oh, well,
in the city.
I got Twitter. The Twitter handle is @TyroTime. You can go ahead and follow that one.
Yeah.
I'm really optimistic of our season. Our next series next weekend against Indian Hills will be a really good test for us because they're always a really talented team because they really have to get good recruits like most Iowa junior colleges somehow do. And so that'll be a really good test for us. We get pick up aluminum, so for the first time this year. So that was really exciting. Just, any little junior college, we get excited about any little thing just like that. And moving forward, I'm going to work as always and then try to work into where I'm a defensive replacement on the weekends and a weekday starter, and work into playing, 1-2 games on the weekend to where, you could come to Concordia, Kansas when we play at Cloud County in March, so that's closest to Omaha. You can, all the Omaha guys that I know can come down and watch me play a game or two.
That's at Cloud County, you said?
At Cloud County, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been a fun one to go watch. How far is Cloud from Omaha?
From Omaha, it's a 3-hour drive.
Okay. I might make a trip with Rich to go see that.
Oh, yeah, you and Rich, you got to have a little 3-hour road trip together to discuss baseball. It works real well.
It's gonna be a dude trip.
Oh, of course. I'm going to have to have Mom stay back and ride with Grandma or something.
Yeah. But continue. But the rest of the season.
Yeah, so, as any other college team, you're looking at, the College World Series, which is, at Junction. So we're all being at 7-0, we're getting really excited where, our 56-0 season's still intact, knock on wood.
It's
but,
still,
it's still early, but we're, of course, still a possibility, yes, of course. And so moving forward, we're really excited, keep on working toward the goal of making Junction for the first time. And really, it's been quite a few years here at Garden City, and the really good program and all the tradition we have here. We're really excited to be able to bring that to our school and just be able to have that experience.
Well, Jake, I'm really proud of you for playing college baseball at Garden City Community College, being a Buster great, and hopefully you guys can keep up the good work, the undefeated season so far. Get to Junction, playing the JUCO World Series, and I'll, if I can make it down for the Cloud County matchup, I will definitely try to make it down for that on the of March 19th, March 20th. Definitely make it down for one of those double headers. So keep up the good work, and I hope you keep up the hard work down there.
All right. Thanks, Bob. Hope to see you soon. And I'll see you over the summer, of course. If old Richie's coaching the JV, I might have to stop in and teach you guys how to coach a couple teams in baseball.
Yeah, we'll need some catcher help.
Okay. I think I can handle that one.
And we'll be back here on the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. Talk to you here on the other side of the break.
Story the mystery, tell me what's a girl gotta do? Looking at the history doesn't seem to give any clue. Just when I think I understand it all, you seem to unravel some more. Ooh, I never know nobody like you. Yeah, you keep me guessing on confessing now, well, baby, it's true. I never know nobody like you. Baby, you're an enigma. Baby, you're a riddle. I'm caught up in the middle of you. I'm trying to think bigger, but I can't seem to figure it through. I wanna make it better, but now I'm scared of looking a fool. Oh, baby, no, I've never been very good at playing it cool. Just when I think I understand it all, I find I know nothing at all. I never know nobody like you. Yeah, you keep me guessing, I'm confessing now, baby, it's true. I never know nobody like you. Baby, you're an enigma. Ooh, baby, you're an enigma. Yeah, you keep me guessing, I'm confessing now, baby, it's true. I never know nobody like you. Baby, you're an enigma. Baby, you're an enigma. Baby, you're an enigma. Yeah, you keep me guessing, I'm confessing now, baby, it's true. I never know nobody like you.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Welcome back to the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. I'm joined here in hour number 2 by the one, the only, the producer of Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com and of 87 Sports Fan, Keith Brave. Keith, how you doing?
I am fantastic. I'm sick as a dog, and I got a bad cold, so that's why my voice sounds.
Well, we'll keep this short and sweet. So
it sounds.
we won't, I got a little bit of a cold too. I got a little bit of something that's not right with me.
I feel like
there's a lot of things that aren't right with me, but
I feel like my voice is like 3 octaves deeper. I feel like my voice is approaching James Earl Jones levels.
Yeah. Well, Keith, looking at I also, before we get into this, I want to thank Mark Grody and Jake Cherakowski for being on. Mark Grody, 670 the Score in Chicago. Jake Cherakowski of Garden City Community College Baseball in Garden City, Kansas. And Keith, what is your making right now of the All-Star game as we speak for the NBA?
I hate the NBA All-Star game.
Oh my God, you
I do.
suck.
Well, I guess I shouldn't say that I hate it. I just can't watch the whole thing. Like, it gets old after about 10 minutes into the first period. It just gets old quick.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. It just but you gotta the agreement has to be the NBA Saturday night is definitely the best thing of all-star games. All-star games, all-star weekends. NBA All-Star Weekend is Saturday is better than anything the NHL does, anything MLB does, All-Star game included.
That I would agree with.
Like, you got the skills competition, you got the slam dunk, you got the three-point competition. I feel like me and Jamison Welsh, who, longtime guest of the show, he had the idea of a 3-on-3 competition, which I think would be awesome. But I think Saturday night is the best thing of All-Star weekends and All-Star games included. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I could see that. They have the best, if you want to call that the skills competition. I think the NBA does the best job with the skills competition, with the three-point shootout and the slam dunk contest. Absolutely.
It's the best show.
Yeah.
And, I like the idea, the skills competition it used to be purely point guard based, where it was like Tony Parker versus Chris Paul versus Kyle Lowry. Now we're getting guys like Draymond Green and Karl Anthony Towns. Like, I like that. I think that's a nice addition. And I think the thing that they did that was the right idea was the horse competition. However, they executed it outside. That was stupid.
Right.
If they would have had a horse competition in the arena where it was like, you have four guys playing horse, I think that they have the right idea. But a 3-on-3 competition or an NBA Jam type of thing where it's like, okay, the best power forward point guard combos versus the four best point guard power forward combos, and then the four best shooting guard and point guard combos versus each other. I think that would be pretty cool. A 3-on-3 or an NBA Jam type of thing would be kind of cool.
Like a 3-on-3 tournament.
Yeah, which, the NHL did this year with their All-Star game, which it kind of got convoluted, but I feel like they're heading in the right direction of spicing things up, and I think the NBA kind of needs to do that.
Yeah, you look at the final score tonight was 196 to 173 with the West winning. And you look at the highest scoring team in the NBA regular season is the Golden State Warriors, 113 points a game. The worst defensive team is the Lakers at 108.2 points per game. So it's just like it's clear that no one is trying to even contend shots very well. So it just turns into just a dunk fest and a 3-point fest, and I'd rather see a legit, maybe not even play at 100% effort, but somewhere in like the 85 to 90% range, where the score is somewhat decent and like the teams don't. If they're worried about putting on a show, if you go ahead and have all of these.
What about this? Okay, if you want to make the game better, the top 5 players, they get it. Like whoever's voted or whoever's considered voted by the players, the coaches, the GMs, the owners, whoever the top and the fans combined. So you get those 5 votes combined, who the 5 best players in each conference are. Those guys start. And then you get a vote on who the best 6th man is, who the best 7th man is, who the best 8th man is, who the best 9th man is, the best 10th man.
It's incredibly complicated.
This sounds stupid, but you would do you still have guys like, Mark Grody took kind of a shot at Mark Eaton earlier, or Adam Eaton. But he probably would be in an all-star type setting for Major League Baseball, where it's like, he he's really good defensively at second base. If you got the best, sixth man, whether it be in each conference, whether it be like, James Harden when he was with the Oklahoma City Thunder, or J.R. Smith when he was with the Knicks, but you get those type of guys, you have a way more competitive All-Star game. Maybe it's not as cool, but you get a way better game.
Yeah, possibly, but it all depends on how bad the players want to play the game. If they don't want to exert themselves because they only get so much time on break or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? That's going to make the ultimate difference. I mean, however you make up the rosters.
But if you had a guy like Jason Smith or whoever it may be for the Knicks eighth guy, or Porzingis or somebody like that, if you had like guys at their the best at their certain spots in the rotation, whether it be in a Dennis Schrader who's a sixth man, he might be more willing to put on a show. You might get more of a real game.
Yeah. I don't know. At the end of the day, it is a show. It's for the fans, and they make a boatload of money off it. So the fans ultimately get what they want. It doesn't translate well to watching it on TV, I guess.
Well, yeah, when you're bombing passes from baseline to the 3-point line, and there's only two people back, it's the shooter and some other guy in offense.
It is more palpable to watch than that abortion they call the Pro Bowl.
Whoa, this is a Catholic show, Keith. No, I agree with you. Yeah, the Pro Bowl is absolutely atrocious. There's no reason to keep that going. Like they talked about it. What was it, like 3 years ago with Roger Goodell about getting rid of it? They should just get rid of it now.
You remember back in the day when they used to do a beach flag football game for the rookies?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? And then Robert Edwards blew out his knee and ended his career. And that was the end of that.
The Pro Bowl, see, that's the only team, whenever I play Madden or what do you call it? Madden. Those are the only two things you can call it. But whenever I play Madden, I never play with any team other than a Pro Bowl team or the All Madden team. But it's really pathetic because, I mean, who cares? Like, Hawaii was the 50th state. Who gives a crap about Hawaii? Where
are you going with this?
I'm going with why do we need to? What's the attraction to get Hawaiian people to watch the NFL? What?
Oh, that's all. I think that's all for the players. It's like a reward. It's like an end of season, almost like a banquet. You know what I mean?
Just send them to Hawaii either way. You should send every player that starts or plays in a majority of minutes for a team should go to Hawaii for not being able to walk upstairs or walk downstairs.
Or remember why they walked into a room.
Yeah. Or remember what their name is, or remember what the reason why they're watching the movie Concussion with Will Smith. There should, as a sense of goodwill and you should just send every single player down to Hawaii as a good gesture. Be like, oh, hey, this weekend we're going to send you to Hawaii. But there's a caveat. You're not going to get your brains beaten. That should be the nice gesture, not, hey, go down to Hawaii, get your brains beaten another week, and have a good time. And you're not going to remember this, by the way.
Right.
It's like a weekend with Bill Cosby.
Oh, jeez.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, of course.
But, okay. But, looking at these All-Star games, obviously they're a moneymaker. NFL, I don't think is really a moneymaker, but I feel like the NFL had it right when they did it the week before the Super Bowl in the place that they host the Super Bowl. When they did it in Miami, I felt like that was prime time that was like kind of a cool event. Did you feel that way with the Pro Bowl?
No, God.
Like you were like, okay, this is going to be the greatest Pro Bowl ever, but it kind of was the best Pro Bowl ever. The players didn't play their hearts out, but it was like a lead up to the Super. It was an actual lead up to the Super Bowl in the Super Bowl stadium.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's hard to do that and not destroy the turf, the field. You know what I mean?
Listen, they're not playing at Pittsburgh at Heinz Field though. Most of these fields can handle two games in 2 weeks.
You know what you do is that you have, instead of the Pro Bowl, you have like an all-rookie team play against an all-star team of the college seniors.
You're thinking you read the Walter Payton book, didn't you?
No. What are you talking about?
Well, that's what they used to do when Walter Payton was.
It wasn't rookies, though, was it? I thought it was like an all-star team. Or the defending champions. The defending champions used to play the college all-stars.
Defending champions versus the best team.
Yeah. I'd say let's make it the rookies.
Okay. Yeah, well, like the Senior Bowl, the best seniors in college football versus the best rookies.
Yeah,
I could kind of see that. Which reminds me, okay, I have an idea. Okay, so you know how, like in college basketball, we have all these tournaments that mean nothing, nobody cares about. Like, I will say, I like the NIT because you get home games from college basketball teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you probably don't like that, but, okay, the NIT, you get home games, and then you get to play at Madison Square Garden. Like, there's more of a real college feel to these games in the NIT tournament than you get in the NCAA tournament. The NCAA tournament is so watered down, and you get all these teams that play in Minneapolis. You get, like, Duke playing in Minneapolis versus not even North Dakota, like Washington, and nobody gives a crap, and you get no fans there, and it's just crap. Well, my idea is, okay, like the CBA or the CBI or the college basketball tournament, one of these tournaments, you play by NBA rules. So whether you're, NCAA tournament, you obviously play by NCAA rules. NIT, these tournaments that don't really matter, why can't we play these with NBA rules where it makes it a little, it makes it a little different?
It piques your interest a little bit more because what are you really playing for the NIT? You won the NIT. Great. You're not the champions.
Well,
you're just the champions of the NIT.
Well, Nebraska back in like 94, 95 when they won the NIT, University of Nebraska celebrated that as a national championship. There was billboards in Lincoln, Nebraska.
That's ridiculous.
National championship.
That's like something like the Buffalo Bills would do.
I understand that, and it is pathetic. And the fact that Nebraska fans don't denounce the fact that they won an NIT is a joke because they celebrated the NIT. But don't you agree? If you're going to do something, an additional tournament, or if you're an additional bowl game that doesn't matter, do something a little different to make yourself unique where people will watch. Right?
No, I definitely agree with that.
Which is why we should do something different about the Pro Bowl, where it's like, okay, there's no offensive lines. Let's play this like NFL blitz. Three offensive linemen, 7-man football, basically.
Counting 10 Mississippi and then rush a quarterback?
I would do that. What do you think? I mean, is that
make
wrong?
it what, like flag football?
Yeah, I would. No, well, I wouldn't say flag, but I'd say.
If you took the pads off and you made it flag, as much as that's not football, it would be easier to play at a decent effort level and not worry about getting hurt. Which I think is the major obstacle in a football all-star game anyway, is the ease that, or the what's what I'm looking for, the increased possibility of injury in football than any other sport.
Do you feel like Sean Taylor got a bad rap for what he did to Mormon or whatever his name, that punter.
No.
See, I'm on board with you because I don't feel like he, the criticism of the Pro Bowl is there's no effort and there's no, and he did kind of the Pete Rose thing where it's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to play hard and I'm going to. By the way, it's a punter. Like that's the most replaceable person on the field. Like you could find. I mean, I could be a punter in the NFL. I think. I could get the ball downfield like, 20, 25 yards at least.
Yeah, but it's like everyone is ripped on him because it was in an exhibition game and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But then they're the same people that would complain like you and I complain about the lack of effort. You can't have it both ways. Yeah.
Well, Keith, a couple more things before we get out of here. Does the what would your would you just get rid of all-star games altogether?
No, baseball I think is an all-star game that works because you can't really play that game at less than you can't loaf it in baseball without it being noticeable. You know what I mean? And you don't see that. Players still charge on balls in the outfield. They're still sliding into bases. Sure, they may not score from second base all that much, like they or try to score from first on a double. But there's no like visible lack of effort in the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. I hate that it decides home field advantage in the World Series. Hate it. But the actual game itself, I think, is the most watchable All-Star Game.
Yeah. They need to narrow it. They need to get it onto one day. Like, okay, the NBA All-Star Game is, okay, you have NBA Saturday night. It's always on a Saturday. You always have the All-Star Game on a Sunday. Baseball, it's like, I understand it's summer, but why have it on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Thursday or a Friday or Sunday? Set a certain day and be like, okay, this is when we're going to have our All-Star Game. This is when we're going to have, and add something to All-Star Weekend. Like, I mean, the NHL, at least they have like the, shooting competition or whatever the hell it is, and they have certain competitions. Baseball, it's a home run derby, and that is it.
Right.
There's got to be something else you can add to baseball. Like, it's boring enough as it is. And I'm saying that as a baseball coach, but it's boring enough as it is. You got to add something to the All-Star Weekend that would be kind of cool. And I actually think I think Rob Manfred is kind of a guy. I hope I say that name right, and I probably didn't. His name is probably Andrew Manfred, but whatever his name is, he's probably the right guy to do it because he's been more open to change than Bud Selig. And I think the thing to change is just doing the home run derby. Like, there's got to be like a 5-tool competition.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this a couple of months ago. What if like one of the contests he had was you put a runner at second base and you just have a pitching machine like launch a line drive base hit into the outfield, and then an outfielder from center field has to try to throw the runner out at home. Would you watch that?
Did you say start at first or start at second?
Start at second.
Okay.
So that it's a base hit. The center fielder charges it, comes up throwing, home. Play at the plate.
And then you could also do like obviously, because of these stupid owners, you probably won't get it. But you could also do an addition onto that where it's like, okay, best cutoff man and best outfield at hitting the cutoff man, where it's like the guy starts at first. The outfielder has a ball hit in the corner at Fenway, hits off a carom. You have to hit the cutoff man and then hit, your catcher, to get it out. I mean, yeah, I think that would be. Obviously, is it foolproof? No, there would be some cheating and whatnot because it's baseball. But I just don't. I don't see how you can't add a competition where it's like, a cutoff, a relay drill type of thing, like on the Fred McGriff thing. Tom Amansky. Tom Amansky baseball with type of thing with the cutoff drill.
This is the baseball drills video for you.
Yeah, if you can't do that, or I know pitchers wouldn't like this, but like or a home run derby where a real pitcher is facing off. The pitchers that they don't want, pitching in the All-Star game. A real duel between two players on the same team, whether it be like Strasburg versus Harper.
Right.
Or, Arrieta versus Chris Bryant or something like that where it's like, okay, this is kind of cool. Like, we're not going to see this in the regular season. I think something like that would help.
Oh, yeah, like big-name arms versus big-name bats.
Yeah, on the same team.
And you have to throw gas.
You have to throw gas.
And it has to be strikes.
Yeah, Cespedes versus Matt Harvey. Tell me you would not cream your pants over that, Keith.
Well, being a Mets fan, just the more Mets I see on my TV, the better. But
yeah.
I'd rather see people like real life aces face up like the best of the best pitching wise, throw heat at the best home run hitters, like the top 5 whip leaders, maybe from starting pitchers versus the top 5 home run hitters, or
the best home run hitter, or not the best whip versus the best OBP or something like that, or the best. You mix it up, kind of like the whatever you call it in the NBA Jam type of thing.
Yeah, do it league by league. Making an AL versus NL thing. Pitchers versus hitters.
See, we're on the right page here, Keith. We need to get into these league offices or whatever. Become friends with them.
Everybody give us a call.
Yeah. All right. Well, Keith, we're going to cut it short here tonight. Actually, Nation, we're going to call it good tonight. Keith, do you want to tell everybody where we can find you on Twitter, the internets, and all that good stuff?
All my sports stuff is at 87sportsfans, and the website's 87sportsfans.com. Had another piece of another wrestling piece written today by Rob Sutter, who is the co-host of the Hold 1005 show, which is live tomorrow night at 11 p.m. Eastern time. I'm sorry, Tuesday night at latenightsportsradio.com.
Awesome. Well, folks who listen and folks who participated on the show, Keith, I want to thank you for being a guest while we talk baseball, all-star fixes, all that good stuff. Jake Terakowski from Garden City Baseball, I want to thank him for being on and good sport. And I want to thank Mark Grody from 670 The Score in Chicago and pre- and post-game voice of the Cubs for coming on and participating in Mark Grody versus Pros versus Mark Grody here on Bob Sullivan Show. And we will see you next Sunday, and I will also see you Tuesday for box seats with Alex Smith. And then Thursday with Johnny Moore